Hey, greetings everybody. Welcome back to Soul. What is this called? Soul Producers. I was going to say
Producers, hey
Soul
producers.
Citizens. I was going to say Soul
Producing that
Citizens.
soul.
I know. Welcome everybody. It's another episode of our monthly show called Soul Producers, where I'm joined with the co-producers of the Soul Citizens, Captain Serious Fun. How are you, my friend?
Greetings and salutations. It's always a blessing to be here. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. And the one and the only ambassador for Star Citizen, Fast Cart FC. What's up, brother?
No one told me we were rebranding. What did I miss a meeting or something?
Nah,
I
I
always apologize
know.
wrong.
I know. Yeah, we're happy to be here with you guys. We've got I don't know we're another month of audio issues. For those of you who watched us last month, we appreciate you bearing through our echoey. We don't know what was going on last month, and this month we've got a new audio rig and we've got some other weird noise going on. But hopefully you guys can hear us well because we didn't want to not do this show. We want to make sure that we get our monthly shows out, both for those who support us, our sponsors, our donors, and also to the general community. And so we always put these out right at the beginning of the month. So this will be out over this weekend, and it will be out to the general public on Monday. But this is August, and we're picking up a different topic this week. And these guys, you guys may not know this. I've said it before, but they don't know usually what we're going to talk about until the day of the event, and so it's not like they get a lot of time to prepare and think. So these guys have such big brains. I know that anything I throw at them, they can respond to. So I put this out here to catch them a little bit off guard, so that it's not scripted. You're actually hearing our general thoughts, and as you can see, our title for this week is Star Citizen worth the wait? Just always give a little bit of background as to what brings these conversations up. The community has been talking about. I don't know. Let me go to them this time instead of me talking about it. I'll go to Cap first. Cap, what have you been hearing from the community in relation to the amount of time that has passed when it comes to the development of Star Citizen?
Yeah, I if I were to take the community feedback that I'm seeing, hearing, participating in aggregate, I would say, and Griffin, you and I have talked about this, that it feels like having gone past 10-year mark, on the back end of that, people are experiencing that in a certain set of ways, right? Um, we are 10 is a big number in modern culture, right? We base
Mm-hmm.
10 mathematically, 10 fingers, 10 toes. 10 is symbolic, a decade. And once we cross that mark, you have, um, I feel like, a different set of, I won't call it hysteria, but I'll call it um, relative impatience, right? Because you've waited 10 years already. So you've been
Mm-hmm.
patient, right? But now that we passed the 10-year mark, it feels like every little iteration in alpha, testable alpha development is is pricking the skin of long-term backers, right? So you have long-term backers who I think have come closer to the end of their patience,
Mm-hmm.
because of the conscious or unconscious symbology of 10 years. And then you have new players who aren't used to waiting at all for anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so what I'm hearing is a little bit of uh, we need it now. We need something now. We need this season that we're in needs to be now. We're tired of waiting. Now, not everybody feels that way, but I'm hearing
Mm-hmm.
more of that voice than I have in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. FC, how about you? What's kind of what's your ear to the ground, or how are you feeling about this weight at this point?
I don't think I've ever heard the community review complain until like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and like no cat or pyro became a thing. That was new to me. I was like, where's that coming from? And that kind of surprised me. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised, but it seems like I'm going to borrow Captain Sears' fun terminology. Long-term backers. I was going to call them older backers, but long-term backers sound better. But like I agree completely. The newer backers seem less patient than people who were here from not the beginning, but closer to the beginning. And sure, we had some hiccups like 2016 CitizenCon. People were expecting something from the like a vertical flight from Fund 42, and that didn't happen. And there were some grumblings then, but it seems to be getting I want to say the vocal minority is becoming larger. It feels like,
Mm.
and
Okay.
uh, a lot of the minority that's becoming bigger is because of the newer backers, in my opinion. That's what it feels like to me.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Okay. Let me share some information with you guys. There's two things I went and looked up. This is just general. This was put out in December of last year. 11 games that took over a decade to make. And some of these games, I understand that different genres, different structures. Some are single player, some might be mobile, some are PC, whatever the case may be. But some of these titles are probably familiar to you guys. These took over 10 years, at least 10 years to create. Final Fantasy 15, Prey, which was 11 years, Diablo 3, 11 years, Mother 3, 12 years, Star Citizen still ongoing at 12 years, Duke Nukem Forever, 15 years, Psychonauts 2, 16 years, Metroid Dread, 16 years, Star Fox 2, 20 years, Unreal World, never heard of this one, 20
I never
plus
heard of that
years,
one.
and
No, neither have I.
Dwarf Fortress still ongoing, 21 years. This is done in by the Gamer. That was one set of. Another one I went to was the Gamer's Rant. They did one here for the 10 longest developments. This one was put out in 2022. Spore was 8 years. Two Human, 9 years. The Last Guardian, 9 years. Team Fortress 2, 9 years. Final Fantasy 15, 10 years. Prey again at 11. Diablo at 11. Mother 3 at 12. Duke Nukem 15, and Metroid. So you can see some of the same games that are here. And it seems like what they've been using as a measure is anything that was longer than 7 years. I think most people's familiarity with games is somewhere usually between 4 to 7 years on development on a game. And many of these games that you'll notice are, some of them are, I'm not sure how many, maybe multiplayer. Only a couple of them are. A lot of these are standalones, single
Right.
player games. And development hell is what they call it, where things just kind of happen and things get stretched out over a period of time. This is only a small percentage, though, of games that are released. Very small percentage. But what we're seeing, though, is that there's history showing that there have been games, some that are familiar, some that are not so familiar, that have taken a pretty lengthy amount of time. Most of these games, that, in my opinion, that I'm seeing, aren't we're not necessarily shooting for the depth of like what we've been looking for in Star Citizen. They may be very focused on depth in a particular area, but Star Citizen kind of has a multi layers of a variety of things that it's trying to accomplish. And so to me, that also adds to why this time factor may be a thing. Um, in light of some of these, do you guys want to comment about any of these? Because if not, we're going to go to my next questions, and I can go back to the other list if you want me to take a look at what some of those other ones were.
Yeah, I got two things I wanted to say. There's one game that's missing on both lists, and I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry, there's TC lacking. Half-Life 3, that's not on the. No, I'm kidding. But
That would have an infinite symbol. Infinite.
part of the issue for CIG in particular is because they're developing two games. We focus on Star Citizen, but
Hmm.
people tend to forget about Squadron 42. So
Yeah.
that's part of the reason why it's taking so long, and I think that's important to bring up again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my reaction to this is multifaceted. When I look at this list, um, and this is less um, uh, objective rigor and more subjective how I feel about it. Most of these games are garbage, right? Um, Two Human and Diablo 3 were interesting. The only games that I credit here on this list for me are Psychonauts 2, Final Fantasy 15, and Prey. Prey is a great game, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, but most of this stuff is whack, right? And
Hmm.
garbage. And the other thing that you said that was of note is these games very often are defined as being in development hell. Well, why do we
Hmm.
use that broad term of development hell? It's because we don't have the line of sight to the development process with these games that we have with Star Citizen,
Hmm.
right? We are able to speak with relative specificities, particularly being on the outside looking in,
Yeah.
as to what's going on and why it's been going on the whole time, right? So lots of times people will say, well, you're making excuses for CIG. I'm like, no, I was here for the reasons. Right? I'm not making excuses. I understand the why. I may not like the why, right? I may even want to challenge the why, but we know the why, right? So, when you're on the outside looking at these projects, and it just takes so long, you don't know why. So you cover it with this term of development hell but it may be some of the same challenges, concerns, issues, and problems that Star Citizen has had, but we can't see because we're not in the development the way we are with this one. So
yeah.
I
I'm
just
I'm
wanted to,
curious. Sure, go ahead, Pepsi. Go ahead.
I just want to say, if Captain Children didn't mention Final Fantasy 15 being a good game, we were gonna have words to add to the show. But I
that's a
also want
good
to bring
game.
up, yes, thank you. Yeah, so I also want to bring up, they're building the company for the first 4 years of development, and that's another thing that people try to gloss over, but it's a real thing. They were using contractors. They had like over 10 contractors when it first started out, but they couldn't get the metric done properly. So that's when they started doing everything in house. But that took time to build the company up. And according to Sandy Robert, the company wasn't really together until 2015, 2016. So that's another aspect, and that's a real thing. That's not making an excuse.
Yeah. Uh, you know, I'm taking all this to go back to this conversation about it being worth the wait. I've often heard the backers. There are different things that I hear people say that they want at this point. One of the questions becomes about content, promised content, and sometimes that comes from videos that we've seen or presentations that have been done from CIG. Other people look for performance and stability as being something. There's a part of me that often feels that performance and stability would be not a placebo. It obviously would be good in the sense of the reliability of coming to a game that you know that you could play and do the things that are available to you at that particular time. So I definitely have I lean more toward wanting stability and performance, even though I know that unfortunately to get that, there has to be a lot of other things that have to take place, optimization and a whole lot of other things that are usually done at the tail end. So to ask for that in the early stage, or at least at this stage, even in development, it's a wish. But you're only going to get it as stable as to a certain point. In other words, on the other hand, if we were to get features, if we were to get all these other beautiful things that we're looking forward to in the game, and we don't have stability and performance, then that also creates frustration because you've got all this stuff there, and every time you do it, you can't do it right, or it breaks, or you know. So there's both of these requests. Yeah, we want more content, game mechanics, but if performance and stability and networking aren't running, then they clash. So back to this original question of, is it worth the wait? Will it be worth the wait? Is that a 100% yes? Is that a possibility of no? Is that this may all come out and man, it was not worth it? What do you guys think?
Want to take that one first? Yeah.
Sure. I don't say 100% to things in my own marriage, right, or in my own life. So there's always a percentage chance that this will end up being a mess, right? It just is, right? This is a product that I control not at all, right? So yeah, it could end up being a mess. But for me, it remains worth the wait for a couple of reasons, right? And I'm at 90% for that, right? And actually, I've grown more in my percentage over time, because earlier on, you might think, well, what Star Citizen is trying to do, I can imagine other companies doing. Let's see if other companies emerge to do it, right? And no one has, right? And the further along we get, the more tool development happens, the more that I see the fidelity of the game, the more that things are physicalized, the more that unique stuff is happening, the more that I'm like, yeah, this is worth the wait. And it's for a fundamental reason, because I can't go anywhere else and do what I can do in Star Citizen. I can't go anywhere else and even approach doing what I do in Star Citizen. Griff, Fast Cart, we do things in Star Citizen that because we're in it and we're in the project, and a lot of people who will watch this video are in it and in the project, that we take for granted that other games would be falling down on our knees to just get a taste of trying to do. Right? We go in and out of our ships like it's nothing. Elite Dangerous players are crying. We take off from a planet station, go down, come back. Right? The other day, Griff was like, "Yeah, I'll be down in a minute." And then Zombie Piggin and I got some crime stats. He's like, "I'm going back up." That Starfield players are crying, Griff. Because they don't get to do that. They get to watch a load screen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Star Wars Outlaws players will watch a load screen. Right? And so we are just doing as part of the normal gameplay with very few bugs on those basic features, by the way. We're doing that stuff, and people can't even come close to doing that in the games that they play. You know, they are begging for Armstrong moments, right? And the opportunity to walk around their ship. And they have developers telling them, "No, you don't want that." And we're doing it and loving it, and it's just every day. Right? So if there was another game, even on the horizon, that was projecting to try and do what Star Citizen was doing, if there was other games out here that were just doing it, then you'd look at this project and go, well, they need to get their stuff together. Other people can do it. Why can't they?
Yeah.
But it's worth the wait because the reach is exceeding its grasp. It's trying to do something that has not been done before. And we're playing a game that where we're doing things we cannot do anywhere else in gaming. Right? So for me, that continues to make it worth the wait.
Well, okay, so Fast Cart, built on that, let me ask you this. You know, some of the words that were used about the projection of Star Citizen, even in its earliest days, was ambitious. You know, and I've said this before, that I wonder sometimes whether or not gamers have gotten, we've just gotten used to getting dished out whatever gets dished out to us. That ambitious is almost a lost word when it comes to gaming. We're looking for something different. We're looking for, you know, and of course, marketing in the industry has used these words like next level, next generation, you know, blah, 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 blah. But then you get it and you find out it's just a variation on something, or maybe it's just a slightly different spin on a theme that's been there. And very few gamers, I shouldn't say that. Many gamers have not experienced something in gaming history that literally changed the way gaming happened. Right? There's certain games, certain things that have happened. For example, something as simple as when we went from single player to multiplayer, that changed gaming. When something like death matches got introduced, right, that allowed players to go against each other, that changed gaming. Okay, but it hasn't happened a lot recently, where people have seen something that really made us look at game, and to Captain's point, affected other game companies to say, we need to get on this wagon. This is the direction that we see gaming going in. Now, personally, Fast Cart, I think that Star Citizen is going to be a unicorn. I don't know if there'll ever be another game that took this process and step the way they did with crowdfunding. I think that they will do it in the process of how, like, game development. Like, we've already seen that with games like Star Atlas, who are kind of using that same platform where they started out with concepts and then started with a hangar and then started with racing. They're kind of taking almost the same steps that CIG did. But that crowdfunding, the way this is done, I'm not sure if that's going to be sustainable again, even if Star Citizen is hugely successful, because to Cap's point, this time thing came along with the package. And most of us bought the dream, we bought the vision, we bought the ships, literally, but we didn't necessarily buy the time. The time was not necessarily something that everybody was ready for and expect. And I'm not saying that I expected it. All I said was, you know, Squadron, they can put that out whenever, but my attitude was, when I saw Star Citizen back in 2013, I said, ooh, it was 10 years at least on that sucker. That's how I felt. But a lot of people didn't feel that way. A lot of people, you know, because to your point, the confusion of Squadron 42, kept thinking 2016, 2018, you know, and I can kind of maybe see where they got that from, because they kept mixing the two. So my question to you, Fast Cart, is, with me saying all of that, in saying that I think this is a unicorn situation, Do you think that at this point, to Cap's point earlier, that CIG, I know that they know that the community wants the game, but what do you think they're going to be able to deliver that's going to make it so that we're satisfied? Because we know when 1.0 comes out, that's not everything. To you, what makes 1.0 the point where the community is satisfied and looking forward and no longer saying, when are we going to get the game? What needs to happen at 1.0 to you that would, because we're always going to want more. We're never going to stop wanting more. So that's, I'm not going to say when we're going to stop wanting more, but I'm saying when will we feel like we finally got something in our hands? What do you think it's going to take for the community to feel that way?
Drafting for one. That you were addressing some of the stuff that I was writing down at Captain Sheriff, and you were addressing the issue. I'm waiting on the banning merchantman. Got to have that, in my opinion, because of the economy, the quanta, or the.
Wait. I don't want to get to specific ships. I don't want to get to specific ships.
But I'm just saying that's because of the economy. So it's more so for the economy aspect than the ship specifically. But you know.
So wait a minute. Give me your list again. What's the first thing on your list?
Crafting.
Oh, crafting. Okay, crafting.
Crafting.
Okay,
Yeah, crafting.
gotcha.
The economy need to be
economy.
Because most people want to craft for the economy.
Okay.
What is it called? The Star Sim. It used to be called Quanta. It used to be called
The AI, the whole AI thing needs to be working.
The whole AI thing. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that needs to be in 1.0. And you know, for me, like you mentioned optimization. That's part of the reason why the game is taking so long, because of each patch, they have to make sure that it's workable for the majority of players who play the game. So that does delay the game. And something Cap said, he says he's 90. He's like, he'll be 90% happy when 1.0 came out. I think as time goes on, my percentage is lowering, because I'm realizing when I first bought the game, I was expecting it to be a base sim, but now it's more of a first-person sim, and there's a lot more first-person shooter aspect than I was anticipating when I first bought the game. So I'm more like 80% now for me, but I'm okay if I could carry it though, so I'll be good that way. Yeah, but economy, crafting, the AI, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think there are 4 pillars that matter in this thing for it to be brought home in ways that people go, all right, well, I mean, I have all I want, but I'm pretty good with what I got. And to Fastcard's point, one of them is about being in our spaceships, right? They sell spaceships. This is a spaceship game, right? So being in our spaceships, being able to be in our spaceships, have spaceship experiences. The other one is being at locations that matter, right? Being in places and spaces that matter. The third one is being our physical human FPS selves, right? And doing stuff with our selves that matter. And then the fourth thing is doing things together and having ways to come together in community, right? If we're doing all of those things, and that doesn't take 100 systems, right? Fastcard wants his brand new merchantman. I want 100 systems, right? We all, you know, my wife wants a trip to Europe. We all want stuff, right? But it does take like 5 to 7 very different systems, right? And to CIG's credit, we continue to see not only how different visually and viscerally Pyro is from Stanton, but their intent to have different experiences in Bro than there are in Stanton, right? And what that tells me is they understand how important it is that to feel very different when you're over there. And that means that they're going to keep that sensibility when it comes to Terra, or when it comes to Magnus, right? Or when it comes to Nyx, or when it comes to Castra, right? And so we're going and experiencing different things in different places. When we have a really great Starship experience, which I think we do, right? When we have a great in-person experience, and when we can come together as community, I think those 4 pillars and they go all the way back, they have to be bound with what you said at the beginning, which is some stability and performance. That's a 1.0 framework for me.
Okay. Okay.
What about you, Griff?
What's the question?
What are your? Well, the question right back at you, like, what is it?
What will it take?
To do?
Yeah.
What will it take for you to be relatively satisfied?
Yeah, a combination of all the things you said. I mean, Chris Roberts' letter, his statement was that he wanted 1.0 to be a game that was commercially viable and stable, that players will continually come back to play, which obviously commercially viable means it's got to be working, right? And I've said that once we're at 1.0, that's not about testing anymore. That means the game is playable. What that looks like, it's interesting. One of the games I've been playing for a very long time, just this week, went to 1.0, which was 7 Days to Die. And that game's been in development for probably just as long, 10 years, a long time. It's been in early access, I should say. And it was very playable, even while it was in early access. It had problems here and there, but it was a playable game, which is what early access should be. It should be fairly playable. I know that people struggle with the term alpha, because after 10 years, it feels like an excuse. It feels like the waiver that's given to CIG for things not to be working, when in many people's opinions, they should be beyond that. It should be better. We shouldn't still be dealing with elevators. We shouldn't be dealing with trams. And so when you do say alpha, for some people that it just doesn't carry the weight that the term technically should carry. I'll go to both of you guys' points. I think that 1.0 should have I would say 4 to 6 systems should be in place for me. 4 to 6. I know there are people saying, where are the 100 systems? That was never promised on day launch. It was never launched. The only thing that was promised was the persistent universe. So I think that 4 to 6 systems needs to be there. Obviously, things like stability and performance need to be there. Network needs to be running well. That's on the technical end. On the game side, Fastcart hit it on the head. Economy needs to be viable and running. AI needs to be viable and running, because one of the reasons why Star Citizen should be able to operate is because of its AI. That's one of the things that makes it stand out from games like Eve that are predominantly backer or player ran economies. They're doing a hybrid of both, and it's going to be interesting to see how they balance that out. Trade and Fastcart, you hit on some of the points there, but things like obviously what come with economy are things like trade, crafting, obviously missions. The thing that I do worry about, though, and this is just me, and this is going to probably be the last thing we'll talk about, because we're not going to make this a long one this week. I do worry about the sandbox dynamic of the game. I still feel sometimes that the players rely too much on the developer for their fun. Not for the developer to create the world, but we do rely on the mobiGlass. We look for the missions. And that's okay to have that there. But I also wonder about, like in Eve, there's this interaction that takes place just because everybody's existing in the universe. And it's organic, and quite oftentimes, there's some things that'll happen because you go to a certain area, this will trigger, and that's okay. But I'm looking forward to those organic things that happen. The fact that when I went to the distribution center to do one thing, something else happened in the process, right? One night we were on, and one of our friends, I think it was, I don't know if it wasn't CC Creator, I think it was Chew. He had gone out on his ship, and he had his ship stocked up with a bunch of stuff, and something happened where I can't remember what it was, but we had to go rescue him. And the reason why we rescued him, instead of him just hitting backspace and say, I'll come back tomorrow, it was because if he did that, he was going to lose everything that he had just gained. And because I knew what that felt like, I was willing to log in, get in my ship, go out there and get him, And it took us 45 minutes, but it created a game loop for me right there. And that had nothing to do with the developers, nothing to do with my mobiGlass, other than a friend calling me and saying, I need help, right? And I look more for those type of things to happen in the game. The person who says, hey, I just finished loading my C2. Would you mind escorting me? Or I just landed at this base and I'm loading some stuff up and I see some pirates that are out at the distance. I think I might be being watched. You know, those type of experiences are the things that I'm looking forward to. And that has to happen based on us. CIG can create the toolbox, but if all we're doing is waiting on the mobiGlas to tell us where to go and what to do, that is something I worry about a little bit. And then, mind you, CIG can do things to help promote that, you know. But I just hope the gamer imagination exceeds and starts to see greater potential in what we can do when we have the right tools. But it is important for CIG to make sure those tools are there for us and that they work and that they're reliable. You know, if Chu had asked me to come help him, but I can't get the hangar doors open, you know,
Right.
to come help him,
Right.
that's a problem. You
Now
know,
somebody
if I'm
gotta come
dying
help
in the
you,
elevator,
right.
yeah, I need somebody to come help me now. You know,
Right.
so
I
yeah.
have a quick question for you, Griff. Do you think achievement would be beneficial if CIG would implement some achievement system?
Yeah,
Would you
you know,
appreciate that?
we talked about this the other day, and Cap is really good on talking about this, about the fact that achievements can mean many things to many people. I think it's important for CIG to put every possible way for people to feel like they accomplished something. The accomplishment may be the payout, right? It may be literally the UEC that gets thrown in my wallet. The accomplishment could be the fact that we got through it and nobody died. The accomplishment could be that I didn't have to repair my ship because I had I was able to go in and didn't run into any encounters. The accomplishment may be the extra thing that we found that we didn't see was there and somebody saw it and we grabbed it and we made an extra 50K. You know, I mean, achievements could be a ranking.
I've been to 20 caves, right?
Yes, right.
I've been to the highest mountaintop on Microtech.
Mhm.
You know, lots
Yeah.
of environmental stuff. Like I've been underwater in a river. There's lots of different small to tall achievements, and to your point, they can do it in terms of the activities. They can do it in terms of the dosage. They can do it in
Experiences,
terms of the locations.
right?
Right.
Reputation.
All that stuff.
Yeah, reputation. It's important because you have different type of gamers who are satisfied in different kind of ways. I've used this as an example before. You're going to have that person who, for them in their gameplay session, it's to start something and finish it. That's their gameplay session. I'm an old dude. My gameplay session may be just the fact that I brought my ship up that day and loaded it with the cargo, and I stop. And I say tomorrow when I come, when Cap is on, we'll go and take it. So it becomes a two-day process. And for me, that was accomplishment. Right? For the other person, they leave the game frustrated because they wanted to deliver it that day and they couldn't because Cap wasn't on. Right. You see what I'm saying? So,
yeah. And for me, it's going to be what I just said. It's going to be, if you want to incentivize me with achievements, it's going to be seeing different places and going to different locations. Right? I have no interest right now in spending a lot of time in Pyro because of my preconceived notions of Pyro. And then I'll see Jade post or say something on Soul Talk or Soul Voices, and she's like, don't forget that, because she said something to one of our other Soul team members the other day. She said, don't forget that Bloom is beautiful and has clean air. And I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna want to see Bloom. I'm gonna want to spend some time there and check it out, you know. And so, you know, for me, the achievements, to your point, Fast Card, they're going to have to be very diverse and varied, because I'm an explorer type of achievement guy. I want to see places. I want to be like, have you ever been to this place, Terra? Oh, well, that's incredible. Have you ever been to the mountaintop in Micro? Like, those are the types of questions I want to ask and explore, and that makes the game for me. I'm trying to make money to have experiences. I'm not trying to make money to have money. So.
No, well, you just beat me to it. Because I was just going to say, I want an achievement every time I hit a milestone with the amount of money I make. Like 5 million, 10 million, 100 million, UEC. I want to see that check box right beside that. But that's me. So, yeah.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there are people who are coming. That's for trader. If you're into trading, and that makes sense, right? It's not just the accumulation of wealth, but it's those landmarks that you make, right, that allow you to maybe do other things in the game, right? Collecting wealth for the sake of collecting wealth is okay, but if you're doing it because it's showing you a measure of how accomplishment and what you've been able to do, then yeah, that's your achievement. So there can be those quote unquote reputation things. It could be the fact that you have been able to accumulate a certain amount of something, or here's the person who started out with a whole A and now has built themselves up to the fact that they're up to a whole D, and that they actually have a full company. They've expanded beyond moving for myself, but now I've got reputation to move other people. Achievement could be a lot of different things in the game. It could be the person who kills, the combat fighter who is able to go into a battle and say, I walked away with 13 kills today. It could vary in so many different ways. My hope is that players will enter this game wanting to do one thing and then find out there's a whole bunch of other stuff too that they can find satisfaction in. That's what I'm hoping for,
Yep.
So
that's exactly right. Is that you should come in if there's 10 different major gameplay loops, and you come in like, I'm focused on one. CIG will have done their job well if you, at the end of your Star Citizen life, have explored 2 or 3 others in a meaningful way, because they're that rich. They're that rich.
And important, Cap, that we do it because we found out we enjoyed it. Now, I'm saying this is important because if they just make a loop in there that says, I have to do this in order to enjoy my other one, that's not good either. I've had so many people who told me that they thought that salvaging was no interest in it. And then they went and did it and said, man, this was relaxing. I actually enjoyed doing it. That's the type of thing I would love to see people do, more than because, well, if I don't go salvage, I can't do so-and-so. You know what I mean? Because now I'm being forced to do something in the game. I hope that there'll be, maybe I don't want to salvage. Maybe I just want to do a mercenary run instead. Or maybe I'll do this, but it's something I can find enjoyment in to enhance what I'm doing, over here. My alt account is nothing but luxury ships. And that account is there to do nothing but take people around. But I'm not going to make money just taking people around. So my main account, is to send $500,000 every time I get it over to this account, so that when people want to go somewhere and you say, Griff, what do we owe you? I say, it's on the house. Because I want people to get on my ship and go to the bar and have fun and not have to worry about that.
You go broke.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm not going broke, right? That's why I've got the other account, right? But you get my point. Being able to do this, I'm doing this, but I'm having fun doing this stuff on my main account. Don't get me wrong. But that other account, I've got my system there for why I want to be able to do all that stuff, So
I'm just looking for something. Just looking for something beyond kill 10 rats, kill 100 rats.
Fetch missions. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Cap?
But I was just gonna say the fact that Griff has that in mind tells you that CIG has the seeds of these things, that we can see it, right? And the role that we play as a community is continue to encourage that development. Even now, as they roll out the new what's it called? That new mission.
The blockade runner.
Blockade runner mission, right? To continue to push them on their conception of combat versus non-combat experiences, right? And they need to hear from us that yes, combat is interesting. Combat is what it is, but there's a whole bunch of people who, you talk about whether it's worth the wait. There's a whole bunch of people who've been waiting for other stuff, right? And that they're here. And we have some of it. You can go mine, you can go salvage, you can do cargo delivery runs, right? But, that people are looking for more in that area as well. So
it's good stuff. Okay, well, listen, we hope you guys have enjoyed our conversation today on Is Star Citizen Worth the Wait? I'm sure there are people out there saying, no! I'm sure there's some people out there saying, no, it should be done.
In fact, we'll probably get so many comments saying no, and YouTube right after this goes live. So
yeah. And just so you guys will know, I don't know. Let me ask these guys now. Cap, you've been a backer since what year?
December 27th, 2013.
Wow. I didn't know you were around that long.
Yep.
FC, when did you jump in?
2013.
October 2014.
Jeez, you got to be kidding. I started looking at it in 2013 and I signed up in 2014, I think it was. So
Yeah, I actually
just so
heard
you
about
guys will know,
2012.
you're talking to a bunch of OGs here. I don't want you guys to think that we just got in the last 3 years and we're saying it ain't taking that long. We've been around a decade, okay? So, you know, and believe me, Captain Serious Fun, I'm going to let him say it. I'm not going to steal his line, but I've started to adopt his line about Star Citizen and what we have in our library. So, Cap, why don't you say that, and then I'm going to close this out about why you have room for this.
Yeah, my Steam library has about 100 games in it, and if all of them had the development that Star Citizen has, I'd be out my mind. So I get it, but I have room for one game with this type of development, right? I have room for one game where it's really trying to reach for something brand new and unique, and so that's why Star Citizen is worth the wait for me.
Yeah, and we want to encourage you guys to view it the same way. I think it will in some way soothe the savage beast if you give yourself the latitude to say, I can do this for one game. I can wait. You know, if it's going to deliver what they wanted to do, I'm willing to give that space for them. If we don't give that space, guys, who's going to do it? I mean, what other game company out there do you see out there who's honestly willing to make the effort and put in the time? And it's once again, there are possibilities that we will see something that is literally game changing if we just give it the time. Go ahead, FC. What were you going to say?
For me, I just want to sign up by saying Star Citizen is the new Janet Jackson. It promises to be worth the wait. That's an old song. People may not get that, but yeah, I'm going for 40-year-old song. Sorry, Griff. Just for those old heads.
Those who know. That's all right. That's all right.
Yeah, that's all you can say about that. Yeah. So anyway, thank you guys for watching us. To those of you who are our sponsors through Patreon, through YouTube, Twitch, we really appreciate you guys. You guys get to see this first. It'll be out today, which is Friday, August the 2nd, and then it'll be out on Monday for the rest of the world. So thank you guys for being here. We hope you guys are enjoying our conversations with the producers. And as always, I want to thank my co-producers, Captain Serious Fun and Fast Car. Without them, this would be a boring show listening to me. You guys have a safe weekend. Take care of yourselves. And as always, Cap, sign us off.
Peace.
Love.
And soul. See you later. Ciao.